You're listening to Business Stories with Ryan Arcaracci, where I speak to business professionals from all walks of life. Thanks for listening, and let's get to it. Hey, everybody, it's Ryan. I'm back with another episode, and I am excited about this one because it deals with some of the most delicious breakfast and brunch food you can think of if you like warm biscuits and gravy and pancakes and eggs and all that fun stuff. I am talking to the founder of Biscuit Belly, the Biscuit Belly franchise, Chad Coulter. Chad, thank you for being here, man.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Love talking biscuits. So looking forward to this podcast.
Yeah. Let's talk about you because you come from an interesting background. I remember we talked before, and you started out, or at least way back, you were a pharmacist, and you transitioned into franchising, and that seems like quite a big leap from different careers. Talk about that a little bit. How did that happen?
Yeah, it's the normal progression of a pharmacist is to get your license and then get out. I feel like usually not the restaurant world, but various other careers. But graduated from Georgia College of Pharmacy back in '08. Go Dogs. It's been a good football run, so got to give them a shout out.
Yeah.
And took a job up at Sullivan University in Louisville, Kentucky. That's originally what brought me up to Louisville, where we are now headquartered, and worked in academia and had a practice site at a hospital for about 5 years or so. And we got my wife and I got the entrepreneurial itch and always wanted to own my own business. That's actually why I got into pharmacy, to own my own. But with Walgreens and CVS's on every corner, it's tough these days. But
right.
We started actually bought into a franchise. It was one of those painting and drinking spots, and opened it up, a relatively low barrier to entry from a capital standpoint. Opened it up in 2011, and it went just gangbusters. Ended up opening the second one. We noticed we were selling a lot of wine. It was not good wine, but we were selling a lot of it. It was not good wine, but it was a lot of wine regardless.
Yeah.
And we were looking around at the landscape and the bar and restaurant landscape in Louisville, and it was all beer and bourbon based, which makes sense. We're in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided, like, hey, there's an opportunity here. Let's fill this gap. We started off looking at like a self-service wine bar with some of those machines you put the card into, and it spits out 2, 4, 6 ounces. And that really wasn't going to fly with the alcohol beverage rules in Kentucky. And so we're like, oh, well, let's just add a food component. Like, that'll be easy, right?
Yeah.
And that was our first venture into the restaurant world. We found a great chef, a great GM who was working on her wine certification, being a sommelier. And we created a brand called Luvino. It was a small plates, like Southern style restaurant with about 60 wines by the glass.
Mm-hmm.
And we started that in 2014, grew that to 5 locations in 3 different states. We ended up kind of fast forwarding a little bit. We sold it in 2020, not the good part of 2020, the
Mm-hmm.
bad part.
Yeah.
Just because we wanted to focus on Biscuit Belly. So our chef and I from Luvino had always talked about this biscuit concept ever since 2014, and we noticed it started to be kind of a trend in the industry. And it wasn't until about 2018 that we decided, like, hey, we've been talking about this for 4 years or so. Let's just go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did. We started working on the name, the branding, the menu, etc., and opened the first location in 2019 in Louisville, and went over gangbusters, line out the door, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ended up taking over very quickly a Zoe's Kitchen that was about to close. And so we took over their lease, did a second one. Obviously, the pandemic hit, but we felt like the economics of the first 2 were attractive enough to to potentially franchise and continue expanding via corporate and JV and franchising. So we got all of our documents done in October of 2020. We signed two or three deals in 2021 worth about 15 total units on the franchising side.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, we spent hardly anything on marketing. It was really organic. It was introductions. It was people looking to get into breakfast brunch space who liked what we were doing, loved the food. And so they started opening in 2022. We raised about $2 million here locally to do a joint venture area, which is going to be, or is currently in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. So we'll be expanding via some joint venture partnerships out in kind of the East Coast. And then we signed an additional deal this year for Charlotte. It was actually our Alabama franchisees wanted to get in on the Charlotte territory because they already have a presence there. So right now we have, call it 4 franchise groups, 1 joint venture partnership group. We're looking at raising some additional funds to do Northern Virginia, and then possibly some spots in maybe Ohio or Florida would be kind of the next states we'd like to get into.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where we are. We've got 9 locations now. We'll end the year with 10 or 11, and then it looks like we'll end next year with around 18 open, give or take.
Wow.
So we'll double in size in the next 12 to 14 months. And we signed a franchise development company, Oak Scale, to help, kind of put pedal to the metal on potential franchisees. So we're all in, really excited, very, very optimistic about the future. And I think this next year is it's really gonna either catapult us to the next level, or maybe it won't, but we're pretty confident it will. So we'll see what happens.
No, that's great. I mean, it sounds like you've got something really special. I got to ask you too, the breakfast sort of brunch niche is unique because it doesn't seem like a lot of people are doing it. How do you define your particular brand, how unique it is in that space? Because it seems like it's a space that not a lot of people are tapping into. How is yours different?
Yeah, and the competitive landscape for breakfast is definitely getting more competitive. I mean, obviously, First Watch is the darling of the category. They obviously went public in the last 12 months or so, and have just been on a rampage of building stores, and they're doing very well with that.
Yeah.
I think where we fit in, and I guess I didn't even really talk about the concept, but we are a fast casual. We like to call it craft casual sometimes. So fast casual, craft casual, whatever you want to call it. Restaurants. Obviously, the menu revolves around large gourmet biscuit sandwiches. We have other variety of items that we've innovated over the last 12 months. Several different flavors of pancakes. We kind of have our spin on a chicken and waffle. We don't have waffles. We use kind of a biscuit as the waffle, so to speak. We've got a couple different signature omelets. We have build your own breakfast bowls. We just introduced more brunchy type, like actual sandwiches that you could have for lunch as well. We're totally revamping our catering currently, so that'll go live in about a month.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done a ton of innovation these past like really 6 to 12 months to try to expand our reach within the breakfast category, but without losing like the soul of the of the concept, which is the biscuit. So
Yeah.
a variety, I'd say majority of our items revolve around the biscuit itself, either a biscuit sandwich, or we're using the biscuits in a variety of different kind of unique ways. But I'd say almost all of like the big players, maybe all of the big players in the breakfast space are, 4,000, 4,500 square feet. They're full service, pretty big footprint, pretty big investment up front. We're around 2,800 square feet, maybe up to 3,200.
Mm-hmm.
We typically got 80 to 90 seats inside in the patio. It is counter service, just like you would have at, Chipotle. But everything after that is basically full service. So you order at the counter, you take a number, you put the number in your little box on the table, and we do everything else. So that's bussing the tables, running the food, try to provide some like service touches, table side as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that I think is what sets us apart. We're also a scratch made kitchen. About 80% or so of our items are made in house. And I don't know, I think we're doing a really good job on the food piece as well.
Yeah.
Which you don't see a lot. I mean, breakfast can be very commoditized, if I'm using that
Yeah.
word correctly, but where it's just a generic pancake, a generic waffle, and they're just kind of putting on a plate and sending it out. And I think that's a majority of the historical kind of iconic brands is what they're doing. But some people are doing it right. I think we're doing it right. I think First Watch does a great job. Not to tout them too much, but they're definitely the kind of the leaders in the category. And but also there's just not that many franchised opportunities out there in breakfast either, which I find where we definitely have a niche as well. Is so many people are, fried chicken so hot, and sandwiches are big right now, and there's pizza's pretty big, obviously, and it continues to expand. And these people are looking to diversify. And
Right.
I mean, breakfast and brunch is one of the hotter, investment categories right now in the restaurant, field. And I don't know. I think we definitely offer a very good, unit economics from a build out, sales, profitability, and all that. So, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think we're doing something right.
Yeah.
So
One thing I got to ask you too is, I mean, I think you're 100% right. It's hard to make breakfast exciting because typically it's eggs, bacon, pancakes,
yeah,
and it's always pretty much like a standard, right? Traditional. But I'm looking
yep,
on your website, and I think anybody who's listening should go check out biscuitbelly.com. But you guys have what's interesting, what's funny, and I think is unique is that, and I want to ask you the inspiration for this because you have these kind of cool, like funny names for your dishes. Like you have the Love Shack, Fire in Your Belly, the Gravy Train, Boozy Bird. Like, what was the inspiration for these non-traditional menu items? And not only that, are they interesting in terms of what they're called, but the way they look and the way they're plated looks interesting too. What's the inspiration for that?
yes, yeah. Well, in such a visual digital world,
Yeah.
uh, we want our customers to be our best marketing channel,
Right.
and making the food look good on a plate that's kind of fun and funky with glassware that's unique in a setting that's unique.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it all the time. The food comes out, people's mouths drop, their jaws drop,
Yeah.
and they pull out their phone. We always say the camera eats first because they're taking a picture, posting it
Yeah.
on Instagram, and then diving in. So we wanted to. I mean, we have custom plates made, and if you look at some of our competitors in the similar space, like it's a generic like beige plate with
Yeah.
on a generic table with generic chairs, and like it's just kind of blah. And
Yep.
so our color scheme and palette is very bright and inviting, and we want our food to kind of have that same feel.
Right.
We actually, when we do a new store opening, we actually have like an Instagram ready class that where we focus on making the plates look like they do on the website.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of focus on and training on that. As far as the names, they are from a wide variety of kind of places, I guess. Being from Athens, Georgia, the Love Shack, B-52's song.
Yeah.
So we had to pay like a little tribute to them. We used to have some other things that were more Athens or Georgia related that have just fallen off. The Rockwell, which is in the Rockwell Supreme, which are two of the biggest sellers. They're named after Tavis's last name, Rockwell, Tavis Rockwell, who's the chef from Lubino. He's a small partner as well in the brand. And so we wanted to like tip our hat to him. Um, you know, we just kind of have fun with it. Actually, funny enough, Chat GPT named some of them.
Really?
uh,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And then sometimes they're just on a whim. Like we have these like a berry jam or a berry jam and frosting pancake.
Mm-hmm.
We call it the berry jamalo,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like Barry Manilow, obviously. And funny
That's
enough,
funny.
his band came. He played it in Louisville. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and his band came in because they saw that we had a pancake named after, or uh, kind of named after their singer, right, Barry
Yeah.
Manilow, and they were loving it. They gave a couple of our people like really good seats to the concert,
Wow.
and so I don't know. It's just kind of fun. Like people appreciate the kind of fun names, and it's just a lot better than biscuit number one or biscuit number two. And I don't know. We try to have fun.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too. Like I'm looking at the photos while you're talking on the site, and it's like it's hard to make a biscuit exciting because it's just
Uh-huh.
there, you know. But you guys do a really good job of like dressing it. I mean, I'm not a chef, I'm not a cook really. You can ask my wife, she'll tell you. But um,
Yeah.
you guys do a really good job of not only just the visual placement of everything on the dish, but making a biscuit exciting to like take pictures of, look at, and then want to eat because it's just in the way you guys kind of make it a sandwich. You dress it up with some sides and some and just a lot of color and the dressing and everything. So was that idea from you or more on the chef side? Who kind of came up with really making the biscuit more exciting, I guess?
Yeah. I think it was just what we wanted the experience to be.
Yeah.
And we're always looking for a way, yeah, like you said, like how we do the sauce. It's not just squeezed on the top, right? We do like a zigzag drizzle. It just adds a little bit more
Yeah.
flair. And then most of our biscuit sandwiches, I mean, some have a knife going through the top.
Yeah.
But number one, it's kind of a cool look, but number two, we kind of have to keep everything together. And
Yeah.
then the smaller ones, we actually put the biscuit top on the side, so you can kind of see what is under.
Yeah.
It just adds to the overall presentation for sure. But
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
I think it just all goes back to that visual appeal. And there's sometimes, and we've actually not put things on the menu because we could not get them to look right. So
Really.
we definitely pay attention to how things are plated and just the overall visual appeal.
So let's talk a little bit, segue from that to actually buying a franchise. If someone's listening and they're interested, like who is your ideal franchise owner and what is sort
Yeah.
of the approach to getting set up, the build out, and how do you manage that sort of side of it?
Yeah. So if anyone was interested, they would go on and kind of look at the website. We actually have a separate franchising website, it's biscuitbellyfranchise.com. They could submit a lead or application that would go to the guys at Oakscale that would field those requests and applications, take initial phone calls, and then if they kind of pass a couple steps there, then Lauren, my wife, and myself would get involved, and hopefully that leads to kind of a good fit culturally and just overall personality wise.
Yeah.
That would lead to a discovery day, which is about usually dinner the night before, and then 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours the next day. Sometimes we let the people make biscuits if we're not too busy, and so that's kind of fun. just to see what the process is. And then we
Mm-hmm.
go through a tasting. They meet with various members of our team, and we just kind of conclude, and they figure, take some time to think and see if it's right for them. But typically, the person we're looking for is already involved in a couple different brands as a multi-unit franchisee, specifically in the restaurant space. So
Mm-hmm.
we are looking for really a very specific individual. We don't have the bandwidth right now to teach someone how all the ins and outs of running a restaurant or really getting set up. I mean, it's just such a learning curve. We've
Yeah.
got like an onboarding Excel document of 250 items that kind of have to be checked off before you can open.
Mm-hmm.
Like during the construction process and all the things you have to sign up for. And it just helps if it just makes the process so much easier if people just already have a general idea of what's expected in opening a restaurant or a business in general. That's not to say we wouldn't look at an investment group that is just looking to diversify, but we do have requirements as far as having their direct operator have kind of a piece of the pie of their entity. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not just a hired individual; it's actually a stakeholder in their investment group or the entity that they set up for the operation of the restaurants. So again, we're not opposed to that. It's just a lot easier for everyone involved if they already have an idea of what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And you brought up culture earlier. Like, how do you define? And it seems like the culture is actually really, really great. I feel like there's a lot of creativity, innovation, and
Yep.
fun. So, would you define the culture like that? If someone's approaching this brand and they're interested in the culture and understanding the culture, and they have to be a fit for the culture as well,
Yeah.
how do you shape that? How do you define that culture?
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I think it's overall a gut feeling that you get from that person, and it's just, hey, do I want to enter a 10+ year contract with this person? It's essentially a business partner in a way.
Yeah.
And the franchisee is really as the franchisor, they're our customer. And
Yeah.
so who do we want as our customer for 10 years?
Right.
So I think it's some of that. You can just, I don't know, you can really just tell if it feels like you want to take the next steps with these people or you
Yeah.
don't. I mean, I think it's community involvement. I feel, if they're coming in and telling you 10 ways that they can save money off the first visit,
Yeah.
what else are they going to be doing when they open their own store and you're not maybe watching them as closely as you should. So
Right.
I think it's we're just looking for good people that are excited to be in a an emerging brand. Like we've talked to actually a Zaxby's franchisee. I think it was last week. We had breakfast with them down in Athens, and they just missed that kind of early stage where everyone's just kind of figuring it out. And I feel like we figured out a lot for people, probably
Yeah.
way more than store 9 of Zaxby's. As much as they figured it out, we
Right.
probably have done way more. But they just missed that. Goldman Sachs bought them or bought a pretty big position, and it's just different. And they just missed that kind of founder run, uh, you know, restaurant business. So
Yeah.
they're looking to diversify, and they're just, I don't know. There's something that people are attracted to, and I will say the right people
Yeah.
uh, are attracted to about a young startup brand versus Papa John's or KFC or one of these classic big operations.
Yeah.
So and we don't take ourselves too seriously. We know that we have a lot of learning to do. We've gotten a lot of great feedback and input from our franchisees about what they want to see and what their customers are asking for about menu and catering and this and that. And I'd say 7 out of 10 times we listen, we say, you know what, you're right, and let's work on it. Let's innovate and make this better. Now we're not going to be everything to everyone. We don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we're probably, other than maybe another few menu items, like we're pretty maxed out right now. But
Yeah.
I think we kind of have something for everybody. We have an espresso program. We've got craft cocktails. We've got things that are more on the health conscious side, things that definitely aren't on the
Yeah.
health conscious side.
Yep.
And, we want to avoid that veto vote. So if 4 people are going to breakfast and we don't have avocado toast, or we don't have, you know, a spinach breakfast bowl or something, like we don't want them to go to another spot because we don't have that. So
Yeah.
we want to have enough things where it still kind of fits within the brand image. But yeah, we're not looking to do like pancake platters and, flights of waffles and all that stuff.
Right.
We got to stick to the biscuit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, this has been a great conversation, Chad. And if people are interested in getting involved with the franchise or potentially becoming a franchisee, what's the best way to contact you guys and reach you?
Yeah, that would, again, just go to biscuitbellyfranchise.com, submit a lead, and you'll be contacted very shortly just to set up a couple of phone calls, and that just starts the process. So it's
That's
pretty
great.
pretty easy. Yeah, there's just a simple little application questionnaire in there, and we'll be in touch pretty quick.
And I got to tell you too, this is an interesting niche because I think like people don't really understand, I think how important it is to have these types of businesses, because I think there's something special about going out to breakfast with the family like on a weekend. And I feel like
Yep.
it's not the same as like, it's just a different feel than like a lunch or a dinner outing. It's
Yeah,
just,
it's
you're starting
communal.
yeah, it's communal. You're starting your day out with this food and the people. And oftentimes, like I'm in Vegas, it's a big food town, and people are going
Mm,
out to breakfast, and then that's starting their day, and then they're going out and going to the pool or going sightseeing or shopping or whatever, right? So
yeah.
there's something special there. I think you guys have that. It just isn't the same with like a lunch or a dinner place. So I think it's
Yeah, I
great.
think I agree. And brunch is, it's casual, it's
Yeah,
fun, it's I don't know. I read a stat somewhere that breakfast is actually the most communal meal of the day, which I found interesting because
yeah,
I would have not have thought that, people
yeah,
just scarfing down, a Pop Tart on their way to work. But
right,
I guess it is, according to the people that study this stuff. But
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
think we're in a very unique position here, especially being, again, like one of the only fast casual, if not the, I won't say the only, one of the few fast casual growing breakfast brands, and small footprint. And it's still, I mean, people will see the startup cost on our website. It's still not cheap by any
yeah,
means.
yeah,
Restaurants are expensive, and things have gone up 50% since
yeah,
2020.
right.
But so it does take a special person to swallow that pill, and some backers and maybe some loans. It just depends on how they want to fund it, but it's definitely not an investment to be taken lightly by
Right.
any means.
Well, I gotta say, if you're
So
out there and you're listening to this, you're listening to Chad, this is a great brand, great story. And I mean, the food, if you go to the website, just go to the website and look at the food. It looks amazing. So definitely go check them out. Go to the website, reach out to Chad. And I'm excited for you, Chad. Thank you so much. This has been a great
yeah,
conversation.
thank you.
Hey, this is Ryan. Are you in the market for a customer relationship management system for your business? Well, before you drop a dime, pick up my book, Customer Relationship Management Exposed, now available on Amazon. Just search Customer Relationship Management Exposed in my name, RyanArcoraci. This is your definitive guide to saving money before purchasing a CRM, so pick it up today.